Welcome back to Spa Unfiltered. So this is a channel that I created not too long time ago, and I talk about stuff, what's really happening and behind the doors in running a business in New York. I run a spa, Berry Blonde Spa. You can go check it out on Instagram. Before I even begin, a disclaimer is this is not a medical, legal, or financial advice. I'm just sharing my experience, like what is really going on. Today I want to tell you a story of what was one of the hardest 10 plus years in business, right? What was the hardest thing that I've ever went through in running a spa? Back in 2019, I think, or 20, I've had a front desk, a receptionist that was working for me, and she was great. I trusted her with my life. She was awesome. She was very personable. People loved her. I started noticing that I had money missing. And at that time, I really didn't understand like what was going on. Again, you guys, whoever has a spa or runs a business, you will understand. When you run a business, I always say this, any business is very hard. It is hard. When you run a business, there's so many tabs open that you run at the same time that you kind of get lost, right? There's so many things happening daily. There's so many things that you have to take care of because everything is your responsibility. So things slip through the cracks, like obviously things like, however, everything is your responsibility, right? I always say this and it's true. So anyway, getting back to my story. So this girl was working at the front desk. She was great. I was really happy with her. And little by little, I started noticing that I had money missing. And what happened was that, like I had like a couple $1,000s missing. So I was like, yeah, like whatever, right? But this was happening over and over again. So what would happen is like people will pay for packages or for services, and she would swipe all of that to her own account. I don't know how she figured it out. Okay, this is not to give anybody any ideas, but this is just a true story. So I had a client came back and she said, like, she was here like a couple weeks ago, and she came back and she bought a package. The package was like, I don't know, $1,200 or something like that. So I look in the system and I'm like, I don't see any packages that you purchased. And the little that I knew, it was that front desk girl, she paid herself for that package. So what was really going on is she created another dupe account, right? Duplicate account for Berry Blonde Spa, and she was charging clients to that account instead of our account. So you guys, the damage, the amount of money that it was stolen, it was probably about $40,000, because she was also taking cash from my purse, and it was just like insane. By the time I figured it out, she quit. Okay, I figured it out. So I went to police and like all this stuff. The point of the story is that stuff happens. When you run a business, there is so many things that you have to take care of that things will slip through the cracks. As you go, nobody prepares you for any of this. As you go, running a business, you kind of have to get so organized, and you have to get systems in place to be able to move forward. If you don't, stuff like that happens, okay? So what I did wrong is I kind of like, first of all, I trusted her with like my whole heart. So lesson number one, trust but verify. Don't ever trust people 100%, because people make mistakes, people go sideways, people get tempted. Like, it's life, we're humans, right? So trust but verify always. That's number one. Number two, get organized and get systems in place that can carry you through. After this incident, I always say, like, all the hard times in running a business, there's always something amazing that comes through. It was devastating for me. I think I lost, in the span of like maybe like 3 weeks, I think I lost like 15 pounds because I was not eating. I was like going crazy, right? But what came out of it is, I will tell you, I tightened up everything what was like kind of loose before, with like protocols, standard operating procedures. I implemented systems, right, to prevent, because this was a learning experience. That's really what it was. Costed me a lot of money, but whatever, right? That incident itself, because I was forced and I was going nuts, I was forced to kind of tighten everything up. That incident doubled my revenue in the next year. So from the 2019 or 2020, I don't remember, the following year, because I was so on it, right, I actually doubled my revenue. And here's another thing that I want to talk about, like, as far as money wise in the business, you really have to know what's going on with money. Don't trust anybody. That even accountants make mistakes, okay? You have to know what's coming in, what's going on, what's going out. Not even for like somebody's like taking money away from me, not even about that, but you need to understand like how much money you can spend on products, how much money you can spend on, like, I don't know, I don't do Google ads, so how much money you can spend on like bring paid influencer, I don't know, whatever, right? Like whatever people do, I don't know. If you don't, it's gonna be a shit show. Like exactly what happened to me. It was a shit show. It's funny now, but at that time it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. So yeah, that's actually, this is the hardest that I've ever suffered in running a business adventure. Yep.